Alright, welcome to another episode of Ielts Speaking Ielts Speaking Practice Session. Today, I'm gonna talk about rules, just like I did several days ago. But today, I'm gonna um, go over all of the questions, including the ones in task 1 and task 2. Okay. Or task 3. All of the tasks. Alright. Without further ado, let's get started. First off, I'm gonna show the questions to you, so get a picture of what they look like. Okay. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna start off with this question for task 2. It's describe a traffic rule or law you know about. You should say what it is, how you know about it, if you follow this rule or law, and explain why this rule is important. Okay. Easy peasy. I'm gonna start my recorder so I can know how long I'll be talking and can listen to it after I finish speaking. So, anyway, let's start. Took me 8 years. Took me 8 years. Alright, I'm gonna tell you about a traffic rule that I studied for several years back when I was studying for my driver's license test. So this is a rule where when you're about to turn either left or right, you have to use the way to the vehicles that are going straight. So yeah, I don't know what it's called in Canadian laws, but I think it's just like you're doing the right way. I first learned about this rule when I was studying for the driver's license exam test, and yeah, fortunately I passed it, but somehow I still made a mistake when participating in traffic 2 years ago. It was during a snowstorm and the visibility was very limited, so I couldn't see traffic going on the streets very well. So, but back then I didn't care very much, so I just, made the right turn, even though I did briefly check the both sides of the road that I was about to turn in. But yeah, because of that, you know, a bug just came out of nowhere and hit my car on the side, completely damaging my left front fender, uh, the left front fender of my car. And yeah, it was definitely a lesson learned because it cost me like $1,000 to fix that. And I thought I was like going to the hospital because the view that the bus approaching was very intimidating. It was huge and unexpected, but yeah, I came out alive. And next time when I'm about to merge into a new road or street, I'm gonna make sure that the traffic is clear before I can make the turn. Okay. 278. 278. Not enough. How you know about it? You follow this rule or law? Okay, let me tell you about a traffic rule that I learned about several years ago. Yeah, I studied for it when I was studying for my driver's license exam, and fortunately I passed this test. But I mean, it's basically about when you are about to turn, you have to yield the right of way to the vehicles that are going straight. So either you make a right turn or left turn, doesn't matter. At In few cases, um, your cars and trucks about to turn actually have more the right more priority, but that depends you know if there is a U side on the side of the on the direction that in the direction that the other sides of the vehicles are traveling in. Yeah, I think this rule is important because um, you know first of all it reduces accidents because if you will just turn in a new lane without yielding the way to the other vehicles, there would be a lot of collisions. And yeah, secondly, it makes everything more organized and easier for people, for the traffic participants to follow. And without this rule, without this rule, many people would actually get into accidents, and you know, traveling would be very dangerous. Okay, let me tell you about a traffic rule that I learned about when I was studying for my driver's license test. So this rule is basically about when you make a left or right turn, you have to use the right of way to the vehicles that are going straight. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense because these vehicles are going pretty fast, so it can't stop to give you the priority to make the turn. So you have to give them the way to travel. Makes sense to me. Secondly, having this rule allows traffic to function more properly because if people just make turns whenever they want, then it would be very chaotic, and there would be more accidents as well because nobody is giving way to anyone. Let's just think about what is best for them, the most convenient for them. So that's my opinion. And yeah, yeah. Actually, on a side note, actually I violated this rule once, and it cost me a left front fender of my car. It was during a snowstorm, and visibility was very limited. I initially checked both sides of the street that I was about to turn to, but since the snowfall is very heavy, I couldn't see very far ahead. So, but I did make sure that the traffic was clear. I still decided to make a right turn, and unfortunately, when I was about left. I was just about to turn. A bus, came out of the snow and um, struck my car from the side, completely damaging my front left, the car's front left fender. And yeah, it's definitely a lesson learned, and I'll probably never make the same mistake again in my life. If I do, well, it'll take more money. Describe a rule you had to obey when you were in school. You should say what the rule was, if you agree with the rule, why the rule existed, what would happen if students broke the rule. What the rule was. If you agree with the rule, why the rule existed, and what would happen if students broke the rule. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about a rule that existed in my high school. So yeah, to the best of my collection, students in Vietnam had to be inside the class or inside the school before 7 a.m. If not, the entrance gate will be closed and the student who are late would have to wait at the entrance for 10 or 15 minutes before the prefect or the security open the gate for them to get in. And when they get in, they cannot just head straight to their classes. They have to wait in line for the prefects to take their names and put into the record. And when they do that, they may reduce your behavior score. And if you get like less than 8 out of 10 at the end of the year, you might not get the good student award. But sometimes the teachers or the prefects are pretty relaxed, so they let a student off several times. And I actually was late like a couple of times that I was supposed to get less than 8 out of 10 in terms of this mark, but of this score, but somehow I still get the award at the end of the school year. So I think it's for primary schools they tend to be stricter about this because they want the kids to develop good discipline. But when you get older, they expect you to be more responsible for your own behavior, for your own punctuality. So yeah, I tend to penalize less when you are late. But I don't know. It's just my view. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. Okay. The prefect. But when you get older, when you get older, for your own behavior. So I think it's okay. Let me tell you about a rule that existed or still exists in many schools in Vietnam. Um, yes, so I think for most schools, students have to be inside the school or inside their classes by 7 a.m. And if they arrive at a school after this time, they usually have to wait at the entrance gate because it will be closed exactly at 7 a.m. So yeah, and then they have to wait for like 15 minutes before the prefects or the security guard let them in. But when they get in, they cannot get into their classes right away because they have to line up in front of the prefect office so that they can take their names and put it into the record. And each time they do that, their behavior score could be deducted by half a point or a point, and it is out of 10. So if you get then let's say 8, then you may not get the good student award at the end of the school year. But I think it depends on the school and the prefects or the teacher who is responsible for this, because I was late for many times and I was supposed to get less than 8, but somehow at the end of the school year, I still get a good student award. So or maybe my school was quite relaxed, but when I was in primary school, they were very strict about this. And if you get late for so many times, you could they could penalize you, and you won't get a award at the end of the school year. I guess it's because they want young students to develop good habit and be disciplined. But for older students, um, for older students, they're expected to be responsible for their own behavior. And yeah, so the school uh, tend to be less strict about that. They let the student decide their own actions. Their own actions. So punitive actions are less necessary than when you were in, say, primary school or middle school. Well, I think the reason why we have rules in society is that, first of all, it helps the world function more um, orderly and less chaotic. Because without rules, people just act and behave in whatever way they want. They may be self-serving for some people, and they could I don't know do malicious, illegal things that could uh, hurt or harm others. Also, having a rules creates a sense of uh, order, helping people believe in stability, because when there are no rules, when there were no rules, there would be chaos, and as a result, many people will lose faith in their own society, as people are allowed to do whatever they want. So yeah. And secondly, finally, I think it's easier for the authority to control uh, its citizens, or for the organizations to control their staff. Um, yeah, as because the citizens or the employees have to obey these rules, otherwise they could get fired, they could get uh, fined or sent to jail, for example. And because of you know and since many people are afraid of suffering from these consequences, they will obey the rules, helping the authorities control their subordinates better. Subordinates. I think we definitely should, because we don't. If we didn't have that rules, the employers, managers could abuse their employees, overwork them to 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 gain benefits for their own. Um, Secondly, it's for the well-being of the employees as well, because yeah, if they worked non-stop, if they work non-stop, it would not only put a strain on their body, but also their mental health as well. So everyone should have sufficient rest between their work sessions. And finally, when employees are well rested, they're also more productive when they're at work. And because of that, um, companies, organizations will function better and become more profitable. So I think it's a win-win for everyone. So the first one that comes to mind is, um, you know, children cannot bring food to their bedroom. Um, I guess it's because the parents want the children to practice self-discipline. Because if they bring all they want, you know, you know, um, the one that kitchens is for eating, cooking only, whereas bedrooms are for sleeping or doing other activities except for eating. Yeah, I know why they do that. It's because the one each room has their own purpose, and additionally, I think when you bring food into a room, you could leave behind food crumbs on the floor, which will attract pests like rats, mice, or insects. So it'll be a hassle to deal with these problems later on. So it's better to avoid them if you could. And what are some rules that exist in schools or workplaces in your country? So, in many schools, there is a rule that when the teacher is teaching, you cannot eat because that would disturb not only the teacher but also the students around you. Um, the smell of food can be uh, overwhelming, overwhelming for some, or the chewing noise can be irritating and distracting, especially those who suffer from misophonia, for example. Yeah. Also, teachers usually want their students to pay full attention to their lessons, so yeah, they don't want their students to do any other things except for studying and listening to their saying. So I think they definitely should, but it depends on the kind of rule, right? Because you're talking about rules that are not very important, like um, what to wear when you go to school, or whether you can wear you have to wear a uniform, or you can wear whatever you feel comfortable in, as long as it's not too casual, not too homey. Then I think students should have a say in that, because at the end of the day, it's them who wear these clothes. But when it comes to something more important, like um, when to start classes, when to end them, then I think we should let the people with authority, like teachers, principals, to decide, or I don't know, educators who are responsible for that. Because if we let students to decide, um, nine, nine, 9 times out of 10, they will they're gonna choose a very late hours to start a class and a very timed or a very early time to end it. So yeah, I think teachers will usually know what will be best for the educational interest, will be best for the students, so that they can achieve the best academic outcome. Because students, they're so young and inexperienced, and sometimes they just do things that please them. So, and they don't think about the consequences, whether they learn something at school or not. So yeah, you should let the teachers, principals, or educators who are responsible for um, choosing the starting and ending time to decide, uh, you know, this matter. And that marks the end of my presentation. And that marks the end of my presentation. That marks the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. And I see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm gonna talk about something else. Maybe I will be freestyling. Yeah, I'll talk freely tomorrow. I will ad lib. I will improvise topic. Alright, that's good.